Carney does New York while conservatives snipe, and the NDP weighs in on Alberta separation. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
Navigating the issues that matter to you. It's Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
Know that old line, what a year that week was? It's been that kind of week in Canadian politics. Fresh from losing an MP and former cabinet minister in Stephen Guilbeault, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, was back in familiar surroundings in New York City, speaking to an audience of high-powered financial executives. But Mark Carney's message was a bit different than what Canadians have been hearing in the last year or so. Speaking to the Economic Club of New York, Carney seemed to tap into Donald Trump's favorite line.
Let's be absolutely clear. Canada Strong will help make America great again.
During his speech to the New York crowd, the Prime Minister cited what he believes are the many ways that Canada can make America great again.
Consider aluminum. It's basically electricity in an ingot. And Canadian exports to the United States are the energy equivalent of 10 Hoover dams. With America's growing energy needs because of the incredible transformation here, does it really make sense to build the gigawatts here needed to replace Canada? On automobiles, Canada is far and away America's biggest customer, and an integrated North American market for production is the best and most durable way to confront intense, truly intense global competition. On critical minerals, with our endowments from potash, nickel, copper, uranium, lithium, cobalt, beyond, Canada can be the most reliable supplier that America needs to put affordable food on the table, strengthen national defense, and meet the exploding demand to power AI.
After he wrapped up his speech, it lasted about 20 minutes. The Prime Minister took some questions from the host, and he was asked what Canada has to offer the United States. The Prime Minister channeled his inner Doug Ford, who has been touting the AmCam fortress.
I mean, this is a time where the U.S. Is energy short for good reason because of the transformation, but it's really energy short, and that's going to get more acute. And we can be part of the solution. We can be part of the solution just on inference as well, to put it more broadly, energy and inference. The third thing is there are core areas. It's our strong view, and we've been clear about this, that a fortress North America in autos, in steel, in aluminum. That's in everyone's interest. We're part of the solution clearly on critical minerals. We're working very well with the U.S. on that.
Back in Ottawa, though, the House of Commons, the Conservatives weren't very impressed with Mr. Carney's latest trip out of the country. Mark Strahl is a Conservative MP from Chilliwack, BC, who questioned the Prime Minister's motives for this trip to New York.
Prime Minister's off to New York for what even the CBC calls a straight-up networking trip. Perhaps he'll meet with his friends at Brookfield Management there. Like so many other investors, they fled Bay Street for Wall Street, with Main Street in Canada paying the price. Over the last Liberal decade, more than $1 trillion in investment has left Canada. That means lost jobs and lost wages for Canadian workers. The Prime Minister himself holds 91% of his personal investments in the United States. So is he in New York for Canadians, or is he just there to check up on his own portfolio?
With the Prime Minister in New York, it was up to the Energy Minister, Tim Hodgson, to defend the Prime Minister.
We could go on and on. Why doesn't he come? Why doesn't he come to Dease Lake, where we're investing billions in a new mine? Why doesn't he go to Nunavut and see where we've invested $4 billion in a new mine in Nunavut? They're so busy working on their clips, they're not actually seeing what's happening in this country, Mr. Speaker.
The departure of Stephen Guilbeault from the Liberal Party continues to reverberate through federal politics. Avi Lewis, the new NDP leader and self-described environmental activist, suggested the Guilbeault resignation shows Canadians that this is not the Mark Carney most people thought they were voting for.
The resignation of Stephen Guilbeault is a powerful sign that the Carney government has veered so far from the Mark Carney of the, climate envoy for the United Nations and the guy who wrote the book Values and gave the speech at Davos, he's veered very, very far from that, Mark Carney. He has dismantled every single piece of climate action policy in Canada in order to facilitate a pipeline just a couple of years after we built one for Alberta and for the oil industry at the cost of over $34 billion. Stephen Guilbeault could not sit in that caucus anymore in good conscience, and that's a sign of how far the Carney government has diverted from any kind of meaningful climate action. In fact, they're going in the wrong direction.
And Lewis also weighed in on one of the week's other major stories, this fall's referendum in Alberta. Lewis called the Alberta separatist movement MAGA aligned.
The separation movement in Alberta has no point of comparison with the historic sovereignty movement in Quebec. This is a MAGA-aligned, potentially funded, disruptive movement that has been really thrown into national prominence by Danielle Smith addressing this question that a portion of her base, a small minority of Albertans, the vast majority of whom want to stay in Canada, don't want to have a referendum that will rip the country apart.
So that principle
it's not the same thing. And there isn't the history. This is I think this is a flash that's been driven by an extreme portion of Danielle's base, and she's got a big problem on her hands.
After today, there are only 3 weeks remaining for MPs in the House of Commons before they call it quits for the summer. That's supposed to happen on the 19th of June. And it's not going to get any easier for the government, with StatsCan reporting today GDP numbers that show the Canadian economy is in a recession. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
What a 2-month ride it always is. Hockey fans across the country have spent the last 2 months packing arenas, cheering on their local major junior hockey teams, trying to win one of the toughest championships in all of hockey, the Memorial Cup. And for fans in Kitchener, it has been an extra special ride because the Kitchener Rangers, the champions of the Ontario Hockey League, have made it all the way to the finish line. The Kitchener Rangers will play for the Memorial Cup this weekend. And to tell us about this amazing sports journey is my colleague from 570 News Radio in Kitchener, the play-by-play voice of the Kitchener Rangers, the host of the Mike Farwell Show, Mike Farwell. Great to hear from you again.
Great to be with you, Rob. Thanks very much for having me.
So when you think back to when the junior hockey season started back late September, October, what would you say the expectations were at that time for this team, the Kitchener Rangers?
Here's the funny thing about that question, Rob. So the Kitchener Rangers are a unique organization in that they are a community-owned team. So in a nutshell, the season's ticket holders actually all have a single voting share with the volunteer board of directors, and they attend an annual general meeting, which happens at the beginning of every season. So we were about a week or two away from the start of this past season, mid-September, at the annual general meeting, when the general manager of the Rangers Hockey Club, Mike McKenzie, announced, and directly because I referenced the quote a number of times through the season, but after the Rangers got as far as the third round of the playoffs last year, Mike McKenzie at that annual general meeting said, anything less than a championship will be a disappointment this season. And I'm pretty sure he meant Ontario Hockey League championship, not necessarily Memorial Cup, but you win the league championship, obviously you get the right to go to the Memorial Cup. He didn't specify, but did say anything less than a championship would be a disappointment. So really from day one of this past season, the goal was to do what the Kitchener Rangers did. They finished that off on May the 12th, sweeping the Barrie Colts in the OHL final to win the J. Ross Robertson Cup. That's the trophy that you get for winning the Ontario Hockey League. First time the Rangers have done that in 18 years. And what makes it even funnier when I think back on that is again, that was the stated expectation from day one. But I think on the season, and to be here now playing the final game by hook or by crook Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening is the last game of this season. And you're going to play that game for the chance to win the ultimate championship. And as you said, one of the toughest trophies to win in all of hockey, that being the Memorial Cup. It's hard to wrap my head around. This is why you play. This is why you go out and you try every night to, win the regular season games, win playoff rounds, et cetera. But to think that we're actually here still catches me a little bit off guard at times.
But when did you start thinking, Mike Farwell, you know what, this could be the Rangers' year?
Well, I kind of hate to admit this, Rob, but I've been with this team for a very long time now. And having gone 18 years between these championships, it's not that you never thought it would happen. It's just that you kind of forgot what it was like, if I can put it that way. And so, look, when the trade deadline came around on January the 9th this year, again, I'll reference General Manager Mike McKenzie, who made terrific moves to really build a team that was designed to do this very thing, to go deep into the playoffs, the championship experience, et cetera. So the moves that were made, when you look at them on paper, you say, okay, this guy has made the biggest moves of any team in the Ontario Hockey League. He's very serious. The Rangers have to be one of the favorites. So absolutely, by the second week of January of 2026, we had a feeling this was a team that could do this. It's just still weird after all this time to be back in this spot. But the last several months, we've certainly believed this was a possibility.
Cool. It's so rare. I mean, some junior hockey fans never get to see this. The Rangers, according to my internet research, won the Memorial Cup twice, 1982 and 2003. Sound right to you? So,
that is absolutely correct, yeah.
It's a generational thing. I mean, you're talking decades if it ever happens. What has this meant to the city of Kitchener, to the Kitchener-Waterloo region? What has the buzz been like?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I think I would sum it up thusly. The city is almost vibrating with the excitement from this. And generational is the perfect word. It was said along this journey as we got into the playoffs, and this Rangers team was really dominating. They went 16-2 through their playoff run. And it was pointed out that these younger fans in particular today are one day going to be wearing jerseys with names like O'Reilly and Andonovsky and Edwards, the stars of this Rangers team, on their backs. When you look around the arena now, you'll still see some that harken back to that 82 team and a player by the name of Brian Bellows, who I'm sure hockey fans, you don't have to be a junior hockey fan to know the name Brian Bellows, right? We've had Gabe Landeskog through here. Derek Roy was the captain of the last Memorial Cup team in 2003. Those jerseys are still, being worn around the rink. But after you do something like this, the players that are on this team this season will be the names on the backs of jerseys for this next generation, because they are experiencing this. It's the first OHL championship in 18 years. It's the first chance at a Memorial Cup in 23. So generational is precisely the word to use for it.
Mike Farwell is with us. He's the play-by-play voice of the Kitchener Rangers. He's in Kelowna at the Memorial Cup. From 570 News Radio in Kitchener, a few more minutes with him coming up. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now you know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
Mike Farwell is with me, the host of the Mike Farwell Show. He's the play-by-play voice of the Kitchener Rangers. He's in Kelowna at the Memorial Cup. Kitchener Rangers in the final. Mike is with 570 News Radio in Kitchener. I remember the last time the Ottawa 67s won the Memorial Cup. It was 1999. And they defeated the Calgary Hitmen. I hate to remind our Calgary listeners about that game. 7-6 in overtime. It was in Ottawa at the Civic Center. And to celebrate, a player named Lance Galbraith of the Ottawa 67s jumped into the Rideau Canal, which you don't want to go swimming in the Rideau Canal unless you've had all your shots. But I wanted to ask you, Mike, like, if the Kitchener Rangers win this thing, what would be a unique Kitchener way to celebrate?
Oh, that is an excellent question. I mean, we do have the Grand River that one could jump into, but I don't think that's quite as exciting as the Rideau Canal. Perhaps we could climb to the top of the historic Pioneer Tower, although it's not really high enough to shout from, like a mountaintop like I'm enjoying out here in Kelowna. But those would be a couple of ways that perhaps, there's a great big public square in downtown Kitchener in front of City Hall with an ice surface, a hockey rink in the wintertime. Perhaps we could use the fountain there to splash around a little bit in celebration. A few ideas.
Okay. Well, let's get to the particulars. Who do you think the Rangers are going to play? When is the game, and how can our listeners hear it on the radio?
The semifinal game will be played tonight here in Kelowna between the Western Hockey League champion Everett Silvertips and the Quebec champions, the Chicoutimi Saguenayens. The winner of that team will advance to the championship on Sunday. The game is currently set for 7 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday evening, but I'm led to believe that the league hasn't confirmed yet, but it sounds like if the Montreal Canadiens manage to win tonight and force a sixth game in their playoff series with Carolina, we will get bumped to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday so that there's time for fans to enjoy the Habs Hurricanes game first. So we'll see. But the league is still sticking to 7 p.m. Eastern, subject to change, on Sunday evening. And we will have the game on 570 News Radio. We'll have a pregame show that starts 30 minutes before puck drop. And all of the Rangers fans certainly in Kitchener will enjoy. And we often get fans because they can listen online from other parts of Canadian junior hockey. They enjoy tuning into the radio broadcast. So 570 News Radio is the place on Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
So I have to ask you, when you get back to hosting the Mike Farwell show, what are you going to talk about?
Rob, it's going to be such a letdown. Like, how does one even come back from this and go back to the issues of the day? I'm sure we will spend a good deal of time talking about this tournament and this city where I've had the chance to enjoy the past 9 days or so. And just quick, if I can go back, that story you shared about the 99 championship, I met a couple of Calgary Hitmen fans here in Kelowna. Kim Thomas, nicknamed Santa, and Dave Gorsline, nicknamed Bubba. And Santa and Bubba are the co-conspirators for the Junior Hockey Junkies. They went all the way to Ottawa for that Memorial Cup in 99 because they're Calgary Hitmen fans. They have not stopped coming to Memorial Cups since, 27 straight.
Yeah, I read that at the 570 News website this morning. It's a great piece. Check it out. Look, enjoy the ride. Whatever way it turns out for the Kitchener Rangers, it's been a heck of a season, Mike Farwell, and congratulations all around. Thank you for the time today.
Always a pleasure, Rob. Thanks for having me.
It's Mike Farwell from 570 News Radio in Kitchener, the play-by-play voice of the Kitchener Rangers. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
With our expert in communications, crisis communications, political communications, branding, and leadership, Barry McLoughlin is the president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants, offices in Ottawa and Washington. Barry teaches at the University of Ottawa's Professional Development Institute. And at Cape Breton University's Shannon School of Business, you can follow Barry on the Substack, listen to his podcast. And he joins us every Friday. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, very good. Fast becoming, Barry, the top national story in the country is that Statistics Canada reported today economic growth stalled in the first quarter, second consecutive decline in GDP, and that means the economy is in a recession, technical recession. So, in Ottawa on Friday in the House of Commons, they had the question period in the morning. That was all the Conservatives were demanding of the Liberals. What about this recession? Pierre Poilievre's having a news conference right now in Ottawa. He's been hammering away, calling it a full-blown recession, a Carney's recession. So look, must ask you, what should the communication strategy be, do you think, for Prime Minister Mark Carney now that the economy is in a recession?
Well, that's a great question. Of course, this is a very sensitive area for him. I mean, Canadians elected him because he's the guy we can trust to steer the economy in these rough waters we're in. I don't think there's a blame directly attached to this right now. I mean, Canadians know that there's been layoffs, that there's been a dampening of our economy, there's been a rise of inflation. According to David Coleto's most recent polling, now the number one cause of uncertainty is the war in Iran, or whatever you want to call that event, and its impact on gasoline and on pricing. So right now we know there's complexity. We know that there's, the Americans being a part of the story. But, in the end, you can't keep pointing the fingers to them. They want to see, what are you doing? Now, he's investing a lot in major, we're seeing all the announcements, Germany recently and Sweden, so we're getting a lot of news on investments, but Canadians do want to see, are we really drifting into, recession can become a depression. And I think that it's just adding to their anxiety levels. So what should he do? Well, I think he needs to speak directly to it. I think he's got to, he's got to give a strong and clear, picture of what are we doing here, what are we facing here, and what is the key to getting out of this. Within a couple of months of the CUSMA renegotiation commencing, although again, no news on that, this is a really worrisome time right now. There's a real question mark of uncertainty. And so I think right now he's got to not blame, he's got to look, and seem unrattled by this. He's got to make sure that he is reassuring Canadians that the direction we're taking the country is one that will be a positive, good news, but longer term story.
Right. But just on the communication strategy itself, he has no public events, say, scheduled for today. He did an event with the outgoing Governor General today at Rideau Hall. He's meeting a Chinese diplomat today in Ottawa, but there's no what I would call front-facing events from the Prime Minister where he's going to take a question on it, at least not yet. I mean, it's early, right? That could change. But maybe, let me run this by you. He says he made this video, put it on YouTube, forward guidance.
Yeah.
Do you do something like that, maybe? What do you think?
Well, that's from his Bank of Canada and Bank of England days. That's exactly the vehicle they use, forward guidance. It's not used normally in the world of politics. Well, I think, he can't wait too long. He can't be silent about this. I think he needs a statement today. And I think it has to be low key. Late Friday afternoon is the best time to dump. You take out the trash day in terms of media, right? And that's right. That's what he's probably going to do. I think he's going to prepare. He's using his time to prepare. What's my statement here? And let's not look like we're changing course as a result of this news. This is part of the challenge we're in, so he's been working hard on this. You saw his thing in New York, his statements there, the Economic Club. So obviously this is a top of mind, and we are looking at him for guidance, and he's got to make sure he doesn't leave long vacuums. I think, I just watched the media availability there of Pierre Poilievre. He thinks he's got a nice nugget here to really, hit him with.
Sure.
And
sure.
Yeah.
And why not? Inflation is up, unemployment is up, and now the economy is in a recession. Well, what would you expect an opposition leader to do? Of course, you're going to seize on stuff like that. But you mentioned, I want to pivot to this. Mark Carney in New York yesterday saying Canada can make America great again. Like using those lines, Canada can make America great again. Like, what happened to our relationship will never be the same. Well, nostalgia is not a strategy. What happened to the great rupture, Barry?
Yeah, he did a nice blend of Canada strong can make America great again. So he was combining the two. Even Pete Hexter liked that. That is the first time the American ambassador has said he liked anything Mark Carney had to say. That's a first. Now, he's in the backyard. He's a block away from. I know exactly where he was. He's a block away from Trump Tower in Manhattan when he said this. And it is very important that he not go down there to dump on them, but to try to make this a win-win. Canada has been really anchored in. This is a win-win. Free trade is a win-win. They're always defining it as a win-lose with America losing. No, it is a win-win, and that is consistent with what he has been saying. But the administration does not believe that. Okay, so you can argue that to your blue in the face, but in the end, The real the real output here will be starting July 1st. Is he just going to come in and say, never mind all these customer negotiations, you're getting the tariff everybody else is getting. That's it. And then Canada is left with a situation now. We have very major, and he talked about it, aluminum. He talked about, the steel. He talked about autos. He really did talk about the huge ones that are getting like 50% tariffs. And that is going to hurt America because American consumers ultimately end up paying for it. So he's trying to get back to the win-win days that may not ever be coming back under Donald J. Trump. So I think it's right now a huge question mark as to whether we can break through. And he's using business audiences wherever he can to say, look, we may not be able to convince them at the political level, but you need to, at the business level, say, look, our Canada-U.S. relationship is a win-win to achieve, economic prosperity for both our countries. And that is his challenge. It's not getting through politically. That's the problem.
Okay. When we come back, Tim Hortons hiring plans. When we return with Barry McLoughlin, this is News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Back with Barry McLoughlin from TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. It was just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Tim Hortons facing some new competition in Canada with Dunkin' Donuts moving back into Canada. This week, Tim Hortons announced a plan to hire 10,000 local workers, reduce the hiring of temporary foreign workers. I think Tim Hortons, this is just my own opinion, its push to hire so many temporary foreign workers, I think hurt its brand in Canada. It now says this decision is purely a business decision. It's tied to higher youth unemployment nationally. What do you think of the news from Tim Hortons, Barry?
Well, it's very interesting you say that. I mean, I think a lot of this is brand perception. It was damaged at the very least, and therefore the brand was damaged. When unemployment has risen, when young people can't seem to get jobs, even summer jobs, temporary jobs, when older people would like to have a second income, et cetera, Tim Hortons is a very important player in that kind of thing. And to continue pushing the temporary foreign workers when we have a lot of domestic unemployment, I think was off-brand. I think that they, maybe that was true at the height of COVID, I don't know. But now I think they need to have Canada's donuts. It comes back to the response to Dunkin' Donuts, America's Donuts. We need Canada's donuts, even though it's owned by a Brazilian company. Nevertheless, the brand has to be, we're Canada's donuts. And that means Canada's workers. So I think this was the right move to do. It may be a bit late, but at least I think it's an effort to help rebrand. I think they're sliding. I think their brand has slipped over time. And this is a good way to say, listen, we want to, it's Canadians first. Yeah, that's the world we're in, Canadians first. And there's a lot of unemployed people, and these are perfect jobs in a great, in a great brand and on a great Canadian outlet. So I think that this was the right move, but I think it wasn't purely dollars and cents. I think there was perception playing into this as well.
All right. So we have a few minutes left here. You remember when we talked about Jaguar, and Jaguar came out with that crazy ad, and everybody was wondering, like, are they even advertising a Jaguar automobile? What is this ad all about? That hurt its brand. You would agree? Mm-hmm. That hurt the Jaguar brand. This week, I'm not in the market for a Ferrari, but I like Ferraris. If I won if I win the Lotto Max tonight, maybe I'll think about it. Mm-hmm. Ferrari. What do you think about when you think about Ferrari? This is what I've been asking myself. I think red, sleek, fast, sexy. I think about Miami Vice. I think about Magnum PI. This is all the stuff that comes to mind. So Ferrari's shares, it's a publicly traded company, shares on the stock market. They were sold off this week because it revealed its first ever fully electric vehicle. Mm-hmm. Ferrari fans slammed the design. They compared it to a Nissan Leaf. I sent you a picture of the two side by side. They look the same, don't they, Barry? Like this, it's called the Luce. It's called the Luce. Means light. Ferrari Luce. Okay? Yeah. It is uninspiring. I mean, it's $1 million car in Canadian dollars. This is $1 million car. It's got 1,000 horsepower. Goes from 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds. Like I'm sure it's wonderful to drive. But look at the thing. This is a dull looking car. This could be a Honda. This could be a Toyota. I have nothing against Hondas or Toyotas. I've owned both. Okay. But I want my Ferrari to look exotic. The former CEO of the company said, this is not worth the prancing horse. What do you think? Yeah. Does it hurt the brand?
Well, yeah, of course it hurt the brand. I don't think it, like the word luxury sits in my brain, that it doesn't necessarily look that way. It's a sports car, I guess you could say, but I don't actually agree that it looks exactly like Nissan. But Nissan Ireland was very smart. We're flattered that people compare us to you. They're very careful how they worded that. We're flattered by the comparison. So here's the rule of brand marketing. When the wind is going one way, just get in front of it and go with it. Don't fight that. And so they're very smartly, Nissan is not fighting that. No, we're not really. You know what? They went with the perception of it. And perception is very powerful for luxury brands like that. So they're twice the price, or if not 3 times the price, I don't even know now, of a Nissan. But I don't think you would look at it and go, yeah, wow, this is a value. Oh, my God, yeah. So I think it is problematic. But these brands, Jaguar went through it too. When you start changing and changing and changing, we've lost sight of it. I saw one the other day, not a Ferrari, but I saw a so-called luxury brand. It was a Jaguar again, and I went, what? That doesn't look like, to me, Jaguar. So they're all kind of, aligning with themselves. When it goes to EV in particular, they seem to lose that real, spark, that real wow factor. There's not a wow factor. They even brought the Pope in on the photo op. He got into the, in the Ferrari. Yeah. Now, if you can get the Pope, that's pretty good, right? I know he's, a state within the state of Italy, but nevertheless, that was a pretty good coup. It gave them huge reach, but I don't know if the Pope's going to change people's minds about whether or not this is a value proposition.
Okay. Great to hear from you this week, Barry. Thanks again. We'll speak next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's Barry McLoughlin from TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know, and this is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Watching oil prices still below $90 US a barrel as we approach the end of the work week. Oil prices have been falling all week, down almost 8% for WTI this week. So that's helping a little bit with the prices at the pump. Across Nova Scotia, there's a regulator for gas prices. It's been very busy lately. The Nova Scotia Energy Board, it said yes to a request from gasoline retailers to raise what's called the retail markup tax because they say their own costs have gone up. So the board allowed an increase of that tax of 1.7 cents a liter, but then the same board also set the weekly minimum price lower by 7.2 cents a liter. So added all up and down, you get 178.4 a liter average price across Nova Scotia. That's still a little higher than what drivers are paying for in other parts of the country. For example, here in the National Capital Region, in Ontario, paying about 173.9. In Kitchener, the average price of gasoline fell another 3 cents a liter overnight, 170.9. And in Calgary, the average gas price as of today is 165.5. Average gas price in BC, 197.6. In sports, in Major League Baseball, look at the Toronto Blue Jays back on a roll, winners of 3 in a row. The Jays snuck past the Orioles yesterday in Baltimore, 2-1, thanks to Baltimore's subpar bullpen pitching, walking in the winning run in the 8th inning when the Jays had the bases loaded.
Outside ball 4, and another challenge from Rutschman.
Call the ball, the catcher's challenging.
And this one is a ball as well.
Call confirmed. Baltimore is out of challengers.
So Rutschman goes 0 for 2 in the at-bat. The Orioles are out of challenges. It's ball 4, and the Blue Jays have the lead.
And they wouldn't give up that lead. Toronto faced one of their former star pitchers in that contest in Chris Bassett, who pitched a solid 6 innings, gave up 1 run. So with the win, the Jays are now just 1 game under 500, and that series continues in Baltimore tonight at 7:05 Eastern Time. You can catch that on Sportsnet, Sportsnet Plus, and all across the Blue Jays radio network now as well. NHL playoffs also on Sportsnet tonight. Do or die for the Habs. Down 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Final against the Carolina Hurricanes. And tonight's Game 5 back in Raleigh. But if there's one reason for Canadiens fans to have some hope, it is that this team has played well on the road in the playoffs. 7-3 record on the road in the playoffs. Habs head coach Martin St. Louis says they're just looking to win one.
Yeah, I told him last night after the game. You can't look at you got to win 3 and it's a big mountain to climb. Just got to win 1.
Is it just like when you were down 3-1, I'm sure it didn't feel great those times either, but does one victory make a big difference?
Yeah, for sure. It's momentum.
Game time tonight with the Hockey Night crew on Sportsnet, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Coming up right after the latest breaking news, it's Talkback. It's the Friday free-for-all Talkback, so you can pick a topic. You can start the conversation at 1-833-668-2577. Our phone lines are open right now, and we'd love to hear from you. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And today it's the Friday free-for-all. We don't come up with topics on Friday. We always have a few ready to go, but we would prefer to know what is on your mind. So everyone, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about something that's been in the news, there's always news. Lots of news this week, that's for sure. Lots of news today. If you want to talk about something you think should be in the news, you feel free to raise it here, whatever it happens to be. It could be serious. It could be not so serious. We have a phone line for you. And all the phone lines are open right now. You call now, I put you on the air. It's that easy. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. And as always, if you've never called before, just mention that, and we'll make your call a priority. Again, 1-833-668-2577. It's a recession. We are in a recession. It's official. It's officially a technical recession. But that is the big nationwide news story today, I would say. The economy, the R word is back. Recession. So economists say we're in a recession when there's 2 consecutive quarterly declines in economic growth, or GDP. When that happens, the economy is in a technical recession. We are not really interested in technicalities today. We just want to get a better sense today. What is your reaction to the news? How is the economy doing, in your opinion? At 1-833-668-2577. For example, when you hear the news today, Canada is officially in a recession. Are you surprised to hear that? Or have you thought, well, the economy's been in a recession for a while now, and this just kind of confirms what you already believed? A recession. We're in a recession. It's the first recession in Canada since the earliest days of the pandemic. So, I mean, going back 6 years now. That was the last time the Canadian economy was in a recession. February of 2020, I believe it started. And it was a bad one for a while there. But let me ask you, did it feel like this economy was in a recession already? When you think about things, because there are kind of 2 ways to look at the economy. You can look at it technically and just look at the data and what the data says, and the data says we're in a recession. Another way to look at the economy is you just look at what's going on around you and what's happening in your community, what's happening in your neighborhood. And that's the sort of feedback we're looking for today. At the Main Street level, at the community level. Is this an economy that's in a recession, in your opinion? For example, when you go shopping, okay? When you go to the mall, when you go to the local supercenter with all the big box stores, is it busy? Is it busy all the time? Is it dead? Is it only busy on payday? What are you seeing? What's your sense of it? What do you know? When you talk to business owners, what do they say? Are they busy? What are they telling you? When you go to Home Depot, when you go to Lowe's, what are you seeing? Is it busy? Are there lots of people buying stuff for home renovations, or do things seem to have slowed down? When you look across the skyline of your city, what do you see? Do you see a lot of construction cranes? Are the construction workers busy? Does there seem to be a lot of construction? And I'm not talking just about road work, okay? There's road work all the time. What about for sale signs on houses? Are you seeing more of those? When houses go up for sale, are they selling? Or do they just kind of sit there on the market? When you go to a restaurant, are the restaurants busy? When you go to the movies, are there people in the movie theaters? That's the kind of stuff we want to know. I mean, StatsCan says we're in a recession, but does it feel like we're in a recession? Yes or no? Does it feel like we're in a recession? Does it look like a recession? What about jobs? What's happening there? What's it like trying to find a job? Do you know someone who has recently lost a job, or someone who's working more than one job? That tells you a lot about the economy. StatsCan says it's a recession. The economy is in a recession. Does it feel like this is a recession? Does it look like the economy is in a recession? 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. We would also like to know today your opinion on what Prime Minister Mark Carney told this business audience in New York yesterday. He said, Canada Strong can make America great again. Mark Carney says Canada Strong can help make America great again. For more than a year, Mr. Carney has been talking about a rupture. Our relationship with the United States has suffered a rupture. He has said in the past, our relationship with the United States, as we have known it, is over. Nostalgia is not a strategy. That's one of his favorite lines. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But now he's pulled out this new line, kind of out of nowhere, maybe a bit of a surprise. Canada Strong can make America great again. Do you see a contradiction there? Is that Mark Carney backtracking? Is it elbows down for Mark Carney? He went on for some time yesterday talking about how Canada has this abundance of all the things that the United States needs, lots of oil, lots of natural gas, hydroelectricity, critical minerals, potash, aluminum, steel, all this stuff. We, Canada, can help make America great again. Mark Carney said that. Mark Carney borrowed Donald Trump's line. What's your reaction to that? This is the Prime Minister who led his party to re-election a little more than a year ago on the anthem of elbows up. Does this mean the elbows are down? When Mark Carney says, Canada can make America great again? Your reaction, please. 1-833-668-2577 on that or anything else. Because it's the Friday Free-for-All Talkback, and we'd love to hear from you. You start the conversation. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Alan in Halifax is a first-time caller up next on the Friday Free-for-All Talkback. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Alan, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll make two comments on your issues. The first one is a recession. I think it depends partly, like you said, on demographics and economic region, but certainly across Canada in the tourism and travel business. Last year was possibly the biggest year ever, and this year is going to be much bigger as a result of the Trump effect. You know what I mean?
I agree. Oh, I agree, sir. I go back home. I'm originally from Cape Breton Island. I go home along with my wife, who's from Prince Edward Island. We've been looking for rental accommodation for this summer in Atlantic Canada, and let me tell you, tough to find and very expensive.
Yeah, it's what the market will bear. I mean, everybody in the world used to want to go to the United States, and the people that still want to come to North America from the rest of the world are coming to Canada. Canadians don't want to go to the United States, and people and the Americans who don't like Trump in the United States want to come to Canada. So it's a total tsunami in terms of market demand.
So when you look around your city, does Halifax look like a city that's in a recession?
No, well, Halifax is booming, but it's an urban area. You're from Nova Scotia. 100 years ago, if you look at the population of Nova Scotia today, 14 of the counties in Nova Scotia, including the one you're from, has less of a population now than 100 years ago. Only 4 have more population than 100 years ago.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, as a Cape Bretoner, we always, people used to be very jealous of Halifax. Of course, Halifax, it has all the universities. Halifax has all the hospitals. Halifax is the capital, not just of Nova Scotia. It's very much the commercial capital of Atlantic Canada. You have all of those government jobs as well. So yeah, Halifax is a good place to be.
Yeah, but it's got the gridlock and the high prices. The only other comment I wanted to make was about Carney's speech yesterday.
Yes.
So you're from the Maritimes, so you know this figure of speech. A rising tide lifts all boats. So, I mean, if Canada's going to do well, by definition, with the amount of stuff that we buy from the United States, that's going to help them.
Okay. Thank you very much. You don't see any kind of backtracking or elbows down when he's using a phrase like "Make America Great Again"? That's Trump's phrase, "Make America Great Again."
I think he's making fun of Trump now because Trump's been there for a couple of years and it hasn't got any greater.
I see. Okay, Alan, thank you. Staying in Nova Scotia, Eric is in Halifax. Hi, Eric.
Hey, welcome back there, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Good to hear from you again. What's on your mind?
Well, not too many people know this, but I used to work with the St. Catharines Blackhawks. And I had 2 great players that I had the pleasure of meeting. One of them was Bobby Orr. One of them was Marcel Dion. The other one was Joe Perreault. And one of them, Will Paymont, he went with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, I mean, I can recall back in the 70s when I used to travel with them, and I remember the Kitchener Rangers. They were a hell of a good team. And I was married to a lady in Niagara whose nephew was Brian Bellows.
Oh, so Brian Bellows,
I got to see a lot of people, got to meet King Clancy and that idiot that owned it, Harold Ballard. They used to sit up in that little cubby hole when we go and play them Toronto Marbles. And the reason why Barry Coates are the Barry Coates, because Niagara Falls had a team, and they used to call themselves the Niagara Falls Flyers. Well, the Barry Flyers had to change their name to the Barry Coates because the OHA didn't want 2 teams with the last name.
Right.
Yep.
Well, the reason we were talking junior hockey today, and those are some great memories, Eric, and a real blast from the past with some of those names. Kitchener Rangers, Ontario Hockey League champions, tried to win the Memorial Cup for the first time in 23 years, coming up on Sunday.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
And again, it's a Friday free-for-all Talkback, so you pick a topic. We'll give you a fair hearing on just about anything. The major national news story today is the economy. The economy's in a recession, a technical recession. Back-to-back quarterly declines in GDP means we're in a recession. One of the questions we're asking our callers today is, do you think the economy is in a recession? Where you are, does it look like the economy is in a recession? Does this news come as a surprise to you? Or would you say, I've felt that the economy has been in a recession for quite some time now, actually. 1-833-668-2577. I believe we have about 3 lines available. And we'd love to hear from you today. Jay is in Calgary. Hello, Jay.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, Jay. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to just have points on two of the topics: the truth, Carney conversation statements, and the recession. So, just like one of the callers said earlier, Canada might be in recession, but most of the features and attributes of recession doesn't really reflect in Calgary. Like, we're not having mass layoffs. I don't think the GDP is going down. Assets are increasing like crazy. And those things don't really reflect in Calgary. Now, the standard of living and might be higher, which is really leads to the side of inflation, not recession. So on the technical definition, Calgary might not be having recession. We might not be in that, but maybe Canada as a whole.
Right.
That's just our opinion. That's how I kind of see it.
Fair enough.
Regarding the other side of Carney, personally, we should also realize that he's a businessman. And he's a businessman / a politician. And we have raw materials in Canada, and we can't consume our raw materials. We need to sell it. Whoever the buyer is, we need to think about ethics. As long as we properly negotiate the terms that favors the country, which is what it's doing, it doesn't matter whatever. For him to even make that statement using Trump's slogan is a stain on himself, but he's willing to take that stain for the country. Because he didn't go there to bargain for a business for his own pocket. He did it for Canada. So in saying I have potash, I have all raw materials, he's trying to sell our product to people to buy. So I see nothing wrong with it. He's doing
You
it
see
for
nothing
us.
wrong with Mark Carney saying we can help make America great again and borrow a line from Donald Trump.
It's a reverse strategy. It's saying we can help America great again by buying from us. So we're gaining from it. Technically, making America great again is going to make Canada great because you're buying from us.
Sure.
That's it. So that's how I see it. I'm not a fan of him, just on the other side, but for that statement he's make, he's putting Canada first.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Interesting observations. I just have to remind you, and I asked Curtis to put a little montage together for us. All the times Mark Carney talked about how our relationship with the United States will never be the same. There's been a rupture. Nostalgia is not a strategy. Our relationship is over. All of these things that he has said in the last, say, year and a half. Well, let's remind the listeners here. Roll the tape there, Curtis, on that clip.
What's going on is not a transition. It's a rupture. And this is happening fast. This is not a transition, it's a rupture. Specifically targeting Canada will rupture the global economy.
Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses.
From the United States. Understanding their position, understand where it's in Canada's interest, in our joint interests to be stronger. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over. Trade that was anchored on the United States.
Over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Everything is over. And then yesterday in New York City, speech to a business audience at the Economic Club of New York. This is what he said.
Let's be absolutely clear. Canada Strong will help make America great again.
Okay. So some people see maybe mixed messages there. Just curious how you see it. Back to our phone lines at 1-833-668-2577. Mike is in Dundas, Ontario. Hello, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm very good, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay today. I just want to thank you for spreading the truth out there and letting us have a forum to speak. Today, I want to talk about AI and how it's trying to control us.
AI is trying to control us. Okay.
Oh, of course it is. 3.5 years ago, this is a bit separate. I took my last vaccine and I had a neurological event, and over the course of the next year, I eventually came to the point where I was paralyzed. And I'm now living in long-term care in Dundas, Ontario.
Okay.
And next Wednesday is International Vaccine Injury Awareness Day. Just bringing awareness to people who become injured as a result of taking any vaccine. So it doesn't matter. So I'm doing a little event here next Wednesday, and I decided to make a poster. I made a poster using one AI, and I used up my time allocation for the day making the poster. So I went to another AI to ask to upsize the poster so I could print it. I'm going to read you what the AI said to me. It says, I can help with resizing this image, but I want to be straightforward with you. I'm not comfortable helping to modify and produce this content for distribution. Adjusting it to 24 by 36 inches and refining the layout would essentially be helping you to produce a print-ready poster promoting vaccine misinformation. And then it goes on to say, if you have a different image you'd like to resize and edit, I'm happy to help you with that. Now, what part of having a poster promoting vaccine injury awareness is vaccine misinformation? You know, and
well,
AI
but you're asking the machine to do it for you. Who is the machine to judge you for your opinions?
Well, not even my opinions. It's just totally misrepresenting the fact that the information I gave it had nothing to do with misinformation. It only was actually mentioning about a celebration we're having in a few days coming forward. It said nothing about vaccines at all except for the day. And then it declined to do this.
It declined your request. Isn't that interesting? That is very interesting, sir. That is very interesting. That's the first time I've heard of something like that happening. Thank you for bringing that to our attention today. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, so we're wide open on Fridays. As you know, it's our Friday free-for-all Talkback. Bring something up. We'd love to hear about it today. Let's go to Tim in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Hello, Tim.
How we doing?
We are doing just fine, Tim. Thank you. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you were talking about the brand mistakes of the EVs. You forgot one. Ford Mustang. Is it a station wagon? Is it a hatchback? Is it a crossover? Is it an SUV? It's got 4 doors. Who dropped the ball on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I know a few people who own them. They really enjoy those Mustang Mach-E's, I think they're called.
Yeah, but don't look anything like a Mustang.
No, they don't really look like a Mustang. Mustang doesn't really come to mind when I look at those cars.
No, if it didn't have a pony on it, you wouldn't know what the heck it is.
Right.
But I thought I just thought I'd bring a little hilarity or whatever to a
very good.
Sad world. Yeah. Okay, have a good one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know if people have seen this. He's referencing the conversation we were having with Barry McLoughlin about the Ferrari EV. That is, I mean, there have been ugly Ferraris in the past, and it's not, who am I to judge? I don't own one. I can't afford one. And this one cost $1 million, and it has 1,000 horsepower, and it goes very, very fast. But to me, it's not a very inspiring looking Ferrari for their first EV. And fans of Ferraris don't like it. The Luce, L-U-C-E, the Luce. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available. Lots of territory to cover today. It's been very busy in the news. I mean, think about everything that's been in the news this week that you can comment on. Let's go to Anne is in Toronto. Hello, Anne.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Anne. Yeah, what do you want to talk about, Anne?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the COVID vaccine. I was working in a long-term care home, and I was very eager to get the vaccine. After the second shot, I collapsed in the office in work, and went to a cardiologist. I had tests and everything. Everything came out clear. I thought it was okay. In the meantime, I collapsed again, and then before I got to the cardiologist, I didn't know what was happening. I took the booster. Well, that really, really screwed my health up badly. I was collapsing on a regular basis. Anyway, I worked out, well, the doctors worked out, my kidney specialist worked out I had dysautonomia, orthostatic hypertension, and gave me some more meds, and I seem to be okay. But since then, I've declined. I declined so much, I had to stop work and go on disability. But before, when I was working, I asked, could I have an exemption from any further shots? One specialist declined. He said, well, I'll pass you on to the cardiologist. And the cardiologist said, I'll pass you on to your GP. My GP was usually very good, but this time she just said, oh, well, the COVID shot's very, very good. And there are a few of us, I know it's good for lots of people, but there's a few of us who it's had a very, very bad effect on.
Oh, yes. Yes. I believe that's been well documented, I believe. But you say you're doing better now.
No, I've had to. Well, I'm doing better now by meds, but I've declined so badly I can't work. I'm on disability now. I will not be going back to work. I'm too tired.
You're not going to go back to work.
I can't go back to work. I'm too tired and weak to hold down a job.
Okay. There's the vaccine injury program, right? Have you ever inquired about that? Yeah.
Yes, I've looked into it and I've filled in a form. Yes.
Yeah. And did you ever hear back?
No.
About anything about that? You've never heard back about that?
No.
Yeah. That's a common complaint about that program.
Yeah, and I think it's bad as well because I believe you can't sue Pfizer, because or whoever, you have to sign something, and it was all rushed through. And there's some people are much worse off than me. I've seen some real sad cases online.
Oh, yes. There was even a story on the national news about the vaccine injury program not that long ago. Look, I'm terribly sorry to hear that has happened to you. I do appreciate your telephone call today. And again, raising awareness about that. 1-833-668-2577. Friday free for all. That's kind of how we roll. You can go off in any and all directions. If you want to refocus on the day's news, the big story today, StatsCan says we're in a recession. The R word. Okay, first time in 6 years the economy's in a recession. But does it feel like a recession to you? Does it look like a recession to you? Are you surprised to hear that the economy is in a recession? Or do you think, it's about time the data caught up with the real world? We've been in a recession for a while. If you've been paying attention. 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Friday free for all Talkback. Ryan is in Calgary. Hello, Ryan.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Ryan. What do you want to talk about?
Good day to you, Rob. In past episodes, I've heard you mention you're an Ottawa Senators fan.
I am an Ottawa Senators fan. Yes, I am.
How would you feel if the Ottawa Senators won a Stanley Cup?
I would be elated. Yes.
Oh boy, because I find it so funny that Donald Trump is trying to say that he wants to make America great again. Mark Carney is saying Canada is going to help you make your America great again. But Gary Bettman's been doing that for 34 years. The cup's been in America for the last 34 years. And yes. I know for a fact that when the Flames won the cup or even got into the finals, Red Mile just goes nuts, 50,000 people. The money's just pouring in. The camaraderie ship that we have. Yelling out the window at someone you don't know, go Flames, go, or go Ottawa, go.
Exactly. Yeah.
The mood in Canada is gray and dark. There's no camaraderie ship. We're looking at recession. We're looking at all the darkest things. And while I think it escaped everybody that it builds cities, it builds lots of money. All these American cities have got a buzz going that we don't even have in Canada. Except for the latest Toronto Blue Jays World Series. I believe they got robbed out of that. But it was still elating and exciting. It brought a lot of money in. And it's like I feel in a sense we just have nothing to look forward to. And a lot of
that's pretty bleak. That's pretty bleak.
I know. I'm trying to think positively, but I want Montreal to win tonight so bad because I want to see them try try it again,
Sure. And I mean, what kind of ratings is this going to get in Canada if it's Carolina versus Las Vegas for the Stanley Cup?
Exactly. Well, the thing is, they're all Canadians, but they don't work for us. They work for the American hockey team.
Yeah. And I mean, they're both great hockey teams. Mitch Marner has been just incredible in this NHL playoffs. Like, I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I just feel so happy for Mitch Marner. Like, they just ran him out of town. Oh, he disappears in the playoffs, and there he goes to Vegas, and he's leading the entire playoffs in scoring, and they're going to the Stanley Cup and whatever. But I get it. It's all I can do to bring myself to cheer for the Habs, but I am kind of rooting for the Habs for the same reason you are. I like the buzz that it brings to the country when a Canadian team is still in it. So again, Sportsnet tonight, 8:00. I'll be watching it. Thank you, Ryan, for your call. And let me give you a go Sens go. Go Sens go. All right, we better stop here. That's it for hour number one. It was very busy in the first hour. I would really like to pick up the conversation in hour number two with you. If you are on the line, please stay on the line. The wait won't be too long. It's a very busy news day. As you can well imagine, we have this major national story with the economic news of the day, the economy in a recession. The Prime Minister does have an event scheduled in Ottawa just a few minutes from now. He is meeting with the Foreign Minister of China, but I'm not really sure if he's going to take any questions about this economic news today, about the recession, because whenever he meets a high-ranking Chinese official, the Chinese officials don't like to meet the media. They don't like to take questions from the free press. It's just kind of the way they operate. So whether this is just a speech, a photo op, or whether the Prime Minister makes some remarks about the economy being in a recession, we are monitoring it and we will let you know. Certainly Pierre Poilievre didn't pass up the opportunity today. He was lambasting the government on the state of the economy. We'll let you hear some of that as well in hour number two of Talkback.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Friday, free for all Talkback. Welcome to it. Hour number two. Great to hear from you today at 1-833-668-2577. Take the conversation wherever you want to go. I mean, one of the stories that's in the mix is the economic news of the day. It's not great if you're the government because it's a recession. Recessions are usually bad for governments. From a political point of view, it'll actually be interesting to see if there's any shift in the polls at all with the news that the Canadian economy is in a recession, whether it hurts Mark Carney or whether Canadians say, well, thank God Mark Carney's the Prime Minister now that we're in a recession. Chris is in Calgary. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Rob. How you doing today?
Yeah, hanging in there, Chris. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day in Calgary.
Yeah,
hey, listen,
you've had a good run there.
Yeah, it's going to cool off over the weekend, though, but that'll be good because it's been pretty hot.
Okay.
Anyway, about Mark Carney, I'm not really surprised. You played some cuts where he was talking about our relationship with the U.S. is over, and then he goes to New York and he says, we're going to help make America great again or whatever. It's typical for Mark Carney. He's been doing this since the day he became the Prime Minister. Give you an example. He was in Quebec. First of all, he was in Alberta saying that he wants to support pipelines and we're going to grow the economy in Alberta and across Canada. Then he goes to Quebec and BC and he says there's no way there'll be a pipeline unless Quebec and BC approve of it. So the man talks out of both sides of his mouth all of the time. It's very typical of him. All talk and no action, by the way.
Okay, so you would view this as mixed messaging. You wouldn't even be that kind to call it mixed messaging. You would say it's kind of two-faced.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, in terms of China, here's the other aspect that really ticks me off. He's saying, oh, we're going to move away from the United States and we're going to, move closer to China. Well, the U.S., as much as people love to hate Trump, it's a democracy. They have freedom of speech and religion and all of the rest. And China is a totalitarian state, and they're busy infiltrating our country. So I don't understand why we would be cozying up to a communist country in favor of or to put down the U.S.
Okay, well, I mean, the answer is obvious. The government, and this would include the U.S. government too as well. That's an important trading relationship that Trump has with China, of course, and the U.S. has with China. They view China as presenting great economic opportunity. It's a rising power, right?
They do.
I mean, would you feel the same way? Do you feel the same way about, say, getting another oil pipeline from northern Alberta to the BC coast so we could sell more oil to China? Do you feel the same way? Would it be bad if we sold more oil to China?
I'm not in favor of expanding our trade relation or any other relationships with China or any other country that is an enemy of Canada. So that would include Iran. There's a whole list.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Thank you, Chris, for your call today. Hour number 2 of Talkback. Again, our call-in line, 1-833-668-2577. Waterloo. Desi is in Waterloo. Hello, Desi.
Hi, Rob. Good to talk to you.
Hi, Desi. Yeah, good to talk to you. What's on your mind?
Well, I think that we have been in a recession for quite some time. I don't think we've ever fully recovered. Yeah, I don't think we've ever fully recovered from COVID.
What makes you say that?
Just, the cost of goods have gone up, and people are holding on to their money a little closer than ever before. There are so many people out there now living paycheck to paycheck without any opportunity to save. The housing market's ridiculous. It just seems like nothing is lining up.
So this would confirm, say, the data is confirming what you felt for a while, that the economy is kind of underwater.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, Desi. I mean, how many times do you hear stories about the number of people who are, $200 away from not being able to pay their bills, or if they had to come up with $500 for an emergency, they wouldn't be able to do it. These sorts of stories. They're in the news all the time, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's a scary situation out there right now.
Yeah, but you're not surprised to hear this news from StatsCan today. Economy is in a recession. No. Yeah, you think it's been that way for quite some time. Yeah. That's one of the questions we have been asking. Thank you, Desi, for your call. We will stop here. The Prime Minister's event is going to start shortly with the foreign minister from China. I see members of the press gallery are running through the corridors right now, trying to get into this event. So if Mark Carney says anything newsworthy, especially on the economy today, given the economic news of the day, we'll let you know. As I mentioned, Pierre Poilievre had his own news conference today, launched into a blistering attack, calling it a full-blown Carney recession today. We'll let you hear some of that. They have question period in the morning as well in the House of Commons. The Conservatives were on the attack against the Liberals. The finance minister was on the defensive today, given the economic news. We can play you some of that, and we can take your call on that story or any other story, any other topic that happens to be on your mind today, because that's how we roll into the weekend during the Friday Free for All Talkback here on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yes, it is. Friday Free for All Talkback. 4 lines available there for you. Wait won't be too long. It's been a busy week in news. 1-833-668-2577. Where are we going next here? Jerry in Milton. Hi, Jerry.
Good afternoon, Rob. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there, Jerry. You know, looking forward to the weekend. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Are you living the dream? Living the dream?
Well, you know what? Even nightmares are dreams too sometimes. But, but no, I kind of giggle when they're saying that we're in a recession. It's like, way to go, Captain Obvious. You know, I love to say stats don't lie, but statisticians sure do. And I think we've been in this boat a lot longer than they've been willing to admit to.
Okay.
You know, I live in Southern, it just even with everything, the expense of everything we have has just gone out of control. I mean, you know, it's with the fuel prices, I'm surprised people haven't called in saying I can't afford to drive to work anymore. But I drive the 401 every day, unfortunately.
Yes.
No choice. And we have these carpool parking lots in places to encourage carpool parking, which I support. But they're now, several of them, the one I go by every day, is turned into basically a trailer park. So there's almost 24 trailers, people living on the side of the 401 in Southern Ontario in trailers and tent campers. They're there throughout the winter.
Right.
So there's cars, generators parked next to them, and people are now living in our carpool parking lots.
Like, I knew there was more of that happening, and that there are news stories about that from time to time, because some municipalities, big and small, are starting to crack down on that because they're seeing more and more people who have been forced out of the housing market, and they're living in, as you say, RVs, fifth wheels, camper vans, whatever the case might be. I have not heard that, you know, people are living in them in carpool parking lots along the 401 in Southern Ontario. However, that's news to me. Wow.
Town Line Road in Cambridge. And I certainly don't want to bring light to have these poor people kicked out. I think it's owned by the province, but I mean, they have cameras there. They must know they're there, but every week I go by, there's another one. There's another one. You know, vehicles that have been there for a friend that plows the 401. He said there's one Honda Civic that's been there for 6 years in the parking lot. They figure people are living in. So so them to say, we're finally in a recession. It's like, yeah, way to go, Captain Obvious. We've been in trouble for a long time, unfortunately. But, you know, it's pretty sad in a country that, you know, we're so proud of, and, you know, we can't afford to put roofs over everybody's heads. But
yeah, I appreciate that. I guess, you know, the follow-up to that is, well, who's responsible for that? For example, you know, the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, today would say this is Carney's recession. This is a made in Canada recession. During the question period today, they were saying, look, times are tough. Yeah, but Canada is the only G7 country that's in a recession. So does that indicate that it has something to do with, say, the Prime Minister's policies, or the fact that there's been a Liberal government for the last 10 years? Or is this because of external forces, Trump, tariffs, the situation in the Middle East? What do you think about that?
Well, there's no magic pill for this. This is a multi-spoked problem, and I think some of it has to do with out-of-control immigration. We've got prices of fuel that are way too high. I mean, people always tease me, you only care about the price of diesel because I drive a diesel pickup truck. And I'm like, well, that gas that you put in your car, how did it get to the pump? Diesel. The food you buy.
Of course,
diesel.
Yeah.
Everything. Diesel. The boats, the planes, everything. So when you look and say diesel normally, and I'm not an expert, I could be somebody can correct me. My understanding is diesel about half the cost to produce than gasoline to refine it. So why are we paying so much more for it than something that should be cheaper? And I'm not saying we just have a free for all, but you know, everybody's blaming some of the food companies, and there's some truth there. But the cost of transportation in a country our size is astronomical. And, you know, everybody says, how much cut the cost of fuel? Well, the higher the price of fuel, the more they make. So it's kind of an oxymoron there. But I think there's a lot of things that, you know, we got way overextended before, you know, the interest rates were really low. Don't worry, it's staying low. Spend, buy. Overpaying for houses. and then all of a sudden interest rates skyrocket, and everything comes to a crashing halt in reality.
Sure. Yep. But again, when StatsCan says today, and the Business News reports, the Canadian economy is in a recession, just because we have to tie a bow on this, we're a little tight on time. You're saying, well, yeah, it's been that way for a while. Maybe it's just official now, but it's been that way for a while. Look at the carpool parking lots and what's going on there in a place like Milton. Okay, thank you. Jerry, good to hear from you today. All of our lines are available right now. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. We're wide open on topics. So bring something up, raise an issue. It can be serious. It can be light. We do like that on Fridays as well. A little lighthearted stuff if you want. But whatever it is, you can set the agenda at 1-833-668-2577 and have your say on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
I have just received an email from Canada Post. So I'm sure the rest of the Canadian news media did. Imagine this. Canada Post, it says, recorded a loss before tax of $205 million in the first quarter of 2026 as revenue and volumes declined across all lines of businesses, reinforcing the urgency of the corporation's transformation that is now underway. Company's $205 million loss before tax in the first quarter deteriorated by $164 million compared to the same loss last year, which was $41 million. It worsened by $164 million. Revenue fell $181 million or 14% compared to the same quarter last year because of continued labor uncertainty. It says in the first quarter of 2026, company continued to be without new collective agreements with CUPW. A ratification vote by employees on tentative agreements currently taking place and will actually end tomorrow. This uncertainty for customers continued to weigh on parcel results in the first quarter, with revenue down $79 million compared to the same period in the year prior. Volumes and revenues also declined for the transaction mail and direct marketing lines of businesses, flyers. In other words, can you imagine that? $205 million loss in a quarter. So say there's 90 days in a quarter, give or take 90 days. Canada Post right now is losing $2.2 million a day. $2.2 million a day. It's quite something. Rick in Calgary is up next on the Friday Free for All Talkback. Thanks for letting me slip that little bit of news in there for people. Rick, thank you for calling.
Hi, Rob, and I'm not going to ask you how you are because you've already been asked by about 200 people.
That's okay.
Have a good day. And as far as the post office goes, well, why couldn't we just have delivery 3 days a week instead of 5, and we could clear that all up. But why I'm calling, of course, being from Alberta and all this nonsense the last little while, they're still looking for another pipeline, even though the people of Canada stepped up and paid for the Trans Mountain pipeline. And do we really need another pipeline when the NDP were in? They were shipping oil over to BC by rail. Now, yeah, it's not as profitable, but you're not going to have to wait 6 years and spend billions of dollars.
Not as profitable, not as safe either. Not as safe. Just ask the people in Lac-Mégantic about, that. But you are giving far too much credit to the government of the day, sir, for stepping in and buying that pipeline. We've been over this. I mean, there was a company that was ready, willing, and able to buy and operate that pipeline, was trying to build that pipeline. You know this, Kinder Morgan, and it waved the white flag because it was just, we can't do business in this country anymore. You are impossible to deal with, the nonstop protests and court challenges. But that was seen as such a vital project for the country that's when the government stepped up and basically nationalized the project. And the government took over what was a private company's project. And what happened? It was years behind schedule, and it cost, I believe, the figures of 4 or 5 times more than the original estimate of the private company. I know some people, they want to, give credit to the government of this great favor that the government did for Alberta. Sorry, no credit from where I stand. No credit from where I stand. Thank you, though, for your call. Good to hear from you, and I am okay, and I'm having a good day. Love to hear from more of our callers as well at 1-833-668-2577 on the Friday Free for All Talkback, and this is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Friday Free for All Talkback home stretch for us for the week. Love to hear from you. Lots of time to fit you in on whatever happens to be on your mind today. Willie is in Southern Ontario. Hello, Willie.
Hey, Rob. How are you? How are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you, Willie. What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
Your question, you asked a question. Who's responsible for the economic environment in Canada right now? So my thought is the government is always the first one to take credit for when things go good. So when things go bad, it must be the government's fault because they're the one to make the policies and all that. Yes, there are external influences. However, that's their job to guide and modify all those. And so it has to be the government that's responsible.
Okay.
And essentially the federal government.
I just wonder how Canadians, I appreciate your point of view. I wonder how Canadians are going to look at this. Maybe they'll say, look, we knew the economy was going to go into a recession. Look at what Trump has been doing to our economy. Of course, we're in a recession. Look what's been going on with the Middle East. Oil prices, look at what it's done to gas prices, what's happening with food prices. Of course, the economy is in a recession. I think the spin from the government. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's 100% true because this is a very different recession from things that we've seen in the past. Because right where we are right now is generally caused by tariffs and by oil prices. Those are the two major factors that are causing the situation we're in right now. And the government can't change that, and the Bank of Canada can't change that by interest rates either, because increasing interest rates is not going to decrease the price of oil. So it's a very different recession. However, there's a lot more that's causing our problems in terms of how the government's spending money. Like they spend money like there's a drunken sailor, like they're drunken sailors, really. Like I'm going to put $20 million into this program. I'm going to put $50 million into this one. Like they announce the same thing over and over and over again. We've gone from a normal deficit of $4 or $5 billion, and now we're at $75 or $80 billion just on operating, not including capital, and somehow we're okay with it. They forget the first rule that you learned in arithmetic: 1 + 1 has to equal 2.
Okay, thank you for your call, Willie. Yep, thank you for your call. The spin from the government, we heard a little bit of this today, is that it's good Mark Carney is the person leading the country right now. Who else would you want, right? He used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada. He used to be the governor of the Bank of England, worked on Wall Street, deep experience with recessions. He was the governor of the Bank of Canada during the financial crisis of 08-09. That's where we're going to hear from the Liberals. We're not surprised that the economy is in a recession. We have a plan for it. We'll have your back. And we have a great leader to deal with it. Look at the resume. That's how they're going to spin it. Another way to look at it is kind of what we heard from Pierre Poilievre today. Mark Carney has been the prime minister for more than a year. The Liberals have been in government for more than 10 years. They've been running the country for more than a decade. And Canada is the only G7 country in a recession right now. And this is Mark Carney's recession. He's the prime minister. He has to wear it. There's going to be a political price to pay for it. Let's listen. Pierre Poilievre took some questions today about this. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
Yesterday, Mark Carney gave a baffling, confusing, and contradictory speech in which he simultaneously said we need a rupture with the United States and that we need to make America, in his words, great again. So his elbows are up and down so fast he's doing a rhetorical chicken dance while we lose our auto sector.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre. Mr. Poilievre, Rahim Mohammed from the National Post. Mr. Poilievre, you said that you'll be campaigning across Alberta for a united Canada. Can you give us an update on any visits that you have scheduled back home in the next few weeks? And are you open to debating folks like Keith Wilson and some of the other prominent Alberta separatists?
We will be back in my home province of Alberta to campaign for a united country. And our message is that all of Canada needs to wrap its arms around Alberta. Let's ensure that every Albertan knows that Canada loves Alberta, that Canada is Alberta, Alberta is Canada. We need to have a strong, united nation right across this country. And that will mean a stronger province of Alberta, but getting out of the way and off the backs of our energy sector, getting rid of the gun grab, locking up criminals to bring safety to our streets, allowing young Albertans to start families with affordable homes, decentralizing control in the country so that Albertans have more direct decision-making power within their provincial boundaries. That is a positive, optimistic, unifying vision that I will be presenting to all Albertans in all corners of the province. Yeah. Of course not. He won't do anything to make Beijing unhappy. A year after Mark Carney said that China was the single biggest risk to Canada, he claimed that we were going to have a full rupture with the United States in favor of a strategic partnership for a new world order with the dictatorship in Beijing. Of course, Mr. Carney's in a terrible conflict of interest. He went and got a $200 million loan for his company from a state-backed Chinese bank while he was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. That loan is still owed, my understanding is, by Brookfield, which the Prime Minister continues to be invested in. He allowed Brookfield to be at the table for discussions. So Mr. Carney has got to be clear that he should represent Canada's interests, not his corporation's interests. We want, and maybe one of the reasons why Canada is the only G7 country in recession right now is because he is miscalculating on trade just like everything else. He's been wrong on every economic question over the last decade, and Canadians are paying the price. He was wrong on carbon taxes, wrong on keeping half our oil in the ground, wrong to oppose a pipeline to the Pacific, wrong to support money printing inflation, and now he's wrong in his trade priorities. We sell 20 times more to the United States than we sell to China. That's just a mathematical fact. And Mark Carney's Brookfield interests in China won't change that. We need a prime minister who's fighting for our workers in this country. We should have the best economy in the G7, not the worst.
Okay, a little bit of Pierre Poilievre today. A hastily arranged news conference on Parliament Hill about the economic news of the day. Recession, the R word, recession. The economy's in a recession. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Friday, free-for-all Talkback to Sam in Southern Alberta up next. You're on News Radio. Hello, Sam.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Sam. Yeah, need you to speak right into the phone, please.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hi, Rob. I'd like to touch on a subject that you brought up earlier this week about restricting children from social media, and I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What's
your opinion on that?
I totally agree with restricting it, but I don't think that is fully the the problem? I think the root of the problem is why is this stuff on the internet for anybody to be able to view, never mind a 5-year-old kid?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why gone are the days where you could go to the beach and like have police measure your blouse to make sure you're covering enough. Now it's okay if you got a simple piece of string covering your privates.
Right.
Like, why?
Well, I don't really want, Sam. Like, I don't want morality police. Do you want the morality police? I don't want morality police.
Well,
I don't want authorities on beaches in Canada measuring women's swimwear. Like, I'm not down for that. I don't know if you are. I'm not down for that. I doubt most of our listeners would be down for something like that.
I doubt that we'll ever go back to that, Rob. I don't
think it was ever like that in Canada.
That we'll ever go back to that, or wherever it was. I know I've seen a picture one time about that. It was it was basically implying that, but like I feel like that's a lot of the problem is how women can exploit themselves almost pornographically on the internet. How is that good for a teenager or even anybody in his 50s, never mind a kid? Like, right. How is it okay that these women can first of all make thousands and make a living doing nothing but undressing in front of a camera? Like, how is that okay to put stuff like that on the internet, or stuff that brings a kid to a mental hospital? Like, this stuff, like, sure, I totally agree with putting restrictions on social media, but that's not the only problem.
Yeah, I think we both agree on, because that was my position, that we need to start seriously considering whether it is age verification systems or some sort of regulation, which is what we were talking about the other day here on Talkback, for access to social media, time on smartphones, generally speaking, screen time. I think you're taking it a step further, Sam, and I thank you for your call. And you're getting into how, how a woman how she conducts herself. And I come back to this. It sounds like you're advocating for some sort of morality police. And, this is not some kind of theocracy here. We're not going to have the morality police. I hope not. Anyway, in Canada, that's my own opinion. Let's go to Linda in Southern Alberta. Hello, Linda.
Hello, yes, Rob. Thank you for taking my
Linda.
call.
My pleasure. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, what do you think? Do you think Carney has now painted himself into a corner with his eloquent speeches that he keeps contradicting himself? Because
is his are his elbows up? Are his elbows up?
I don't know. I don't know whether he knows what his mouth is saying and his arms are saying. So, to me, it's like you're saying all these things, and supposedly you've made agreements with India and China about, exporting oil or whatever, but we don't see that, because now you say something different that kind of blocks the development of these pipelines. So I'm not sure. To me, it's like people are going to look at him and say, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, this is what you're saying. Right. Then they'll turn around to somebody else and say, okay, now what's that deal we were talking about? Because I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to keep having credibility if he keeps with his speeches that don't seem to hold any substance, really.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. I just find it curious because he is the prime minister who has benefited greatly politically for more than a year, calling the relationship with the United States a rupture, a relationship that will never be the same again, a relationship that is essentially over, and saying nostalgia is not a strategy. We've heard this for the last year and a little bit. And then he goes to New York yesterday and says, we're here to help make America great again, and borrows Donald Trump's trademark phrase. I just find it curious. What about you? This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
And we're up against the clock here on Talkback today, Friday Free for All Talkback. Patrick, first-time caller from Calgary. Hello, Patrick. Oh, he just dropped. Oh, well, that's too bad. I was looking forward to talking to you, Patrick. Well, gosh, here it is. Look, it's May 29th, Curtis, already. May 29th. You know, when we're back together on Monday, it'll be June. It will be the month of June. But yeah, it's May 29th. On this day, let me wrap up on this. These are some interesting little history tidbits for you. On this day, in Canadian history, May 29th, 1914, one of the worst maritime disasters in Canadian history, the Empress of Ireland sank in the St. Lawrence River, taking the lives of more than 1,000 passengers and crew. She was sailing from Quebec City to Liverpool, and many of the passengers were members of the Salvation Army. They were headed to the UK for a conference. But in heavy fog near Rimouski, she collided with a coal ship from Norway, sank in 14 minutes. The wreck is still there, and it's a protected site called Pointe-au-Père. Also on this day, 1985, Steve Fogno, 19-year-old amputee, finished his cross-Canada marathon that he started 14 months earlier, The Journey for Lives, inspired by Terry Fox, raised about $9 million for cancer research. But Steve Fogno was a troubled man after that. He spiraled into drug addiction, was convicted of several crimes, had his Order of Canada revoked. He almost died in 2015 after being beaten and stabbed, and eventually passed away from a seizure and was found dead in a hotel room in Burnaby in 2022, just 56 years old. And on this day in 1987, Preston Manning founded the Reform Party. He founded that in 1987, founded the Reform Party. In the 1988 election, just a year later, the Reform Party managed to get just 2% of the vote. But 5 years later, in 1993, it captured 18% of the vote. It won 52 seats. And 4 years after that, in 1997, just a decade after its founding, the Reform Party managed to win 60 seats and became the official opposition in Ottawa. All of that happening today in Canadian history, May 29th. I'm Rob Snow. That's it for us. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And when we come back, yes, it will be the month of June. We look forward to speaking with you then with brand new topics and more of your phone calls, and always the latest breaking news on News Radio.